All right. So I kind of turned my person into like half and half because I feel like I can cover more things this way. So if someone has short hair and you're starting to go ahead and put in some textures and values, what you don't want to do is get in the habit of thinking, oh, this is a darker area, so I'm just going to shade. And it's one continuous line that's going up and down, up and down. It's not one hair on your head that's growing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like a little zigzag. It's lots of individual little hairs growing up like so. So that is what you need to do in order to make it look like real hair, like your person has texture, like they have lots of individual hairs. That's what you have going on your head. So I'm using my husband as the example here, but he's got little hairs. And then he's got kind of like areas where, because his hair's gray, like there's kind of like these silvery little highlight areas. Well, my paper's already white. So I don't want to color those areas in. I'll just kind of leave those open. One thing that I do want to do is I want to lighten up this edge of my Lego hair helmet that I made because if you look at, like, we needed that shape to get started. But when you look at someone, you don't see like an outline going around the shape of their hair. So I erased it to lighten it up enough that I can still see it, but I can let my textures kind of grow out, and that's going to look a lot more realistic in the long run than trying to than leaving that there. So some of these hairs look longer, some of them look shorter. I know that this is technically like one hair that goes all the way up like this, but because it's got that highlight in it, I'm not drawing all of it. And then he's got some areas that are darker. Um, if you end up darkening in an area where you didn't mean to, that means you just use your eraser. You use your eraser like it's a pencil, and you use your eraser to erase those lines in. So I'll do a little bit more of that over on this side to show you, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of finish some of this. And I'm guessing at some of it because the way the picture is, his head's turned. If you're thinking, hey, Malchus, maybe you should lighten up this line too, you're probably right. So I'm going to lighten that up too. And you can always go back and fine tune things and make things darker, make things lighter. Do what you need to do. Okay, so there's some hair. Now, if you're a person or if you're drawing yourself, if your hair is parted, one pet peeve of mine is when someone says, oh, this is where my part is, and for some reason they make a line there. Your part is your scalp, and your scalp is lighter than your hair. So you don't need anything where that part would be. Nothing at all. It should just be empty. Okay. And that way you can see your part. If someone has bangs, again, these are like long hairs that grow down or sideways or swoop, whatever you decide they're supposed to do. If there's a highlight in them, I usually try to do from the top and then through the bottom. I don't mean a highlight like you dyed your hair have highlights. I mean like where like your sun is shining, your light source, and it's reflecting in the hair there. So that might be something that I see here. Now these pieces, this gets a little bit more tedious because it means you're going from the top to the bottom, from the top to the bottom, but that's what your hair is doing. But again, you can kind of do areas from the bottom and come up, do areas from the top and come up. You do want to think a little bit about like textures and how things overlap. Like if this hair's kind of further back on the head, then that hair might be a little bit darker. Or if this piece here is coming and overlapping this piece here, then maybe this area here is a little bit darker. Even if like you're blonde, like your hair's blonde in color, but it's creating lighter areas and darker areas depending on how it's crossing over each other and overlapping, creating shadows where your light source is. So if you have a picture, it helps you. If your hair's darker, you're going to be doing a lot more of this. So let's say I am going to do a little bit of shading here just so you can see this. So say my hair's a little bit darker right here, but then I want to go in and put some of those highlights in. I can take my pencil, flip it around to the eraser side, just kind of put in some of those highlights. I didn't talk about curly hair, but I will. Curly hair, it doesn't mean that you're just like taking your pencil and going, oh, like nobody really has curls that are that like tight like that. Your curls are usually multiple pieces of hair that are curling together to create that curl. So what I would do is I would kind of go with that directional line. So maybe part of your curl is going this way, and then maybe it loops around. It loops around, maybe it does something like it's curving in, and then maybe it comes out on the other side. It goes behind this and comes out over here. So you really have to look at what you're seeing your hair shapes lines do. When I say directional line, I'm talking about like when you see someone in cartoons and they're running and you see like the lines behind them showing the direction that they're running. If you were to like take a brush and brush your hair, what way would you move your brush to brush it? You wouldn't brush it up, you wouldn't brush it back, you would follow the direction that your hair is growing. Okay, so I know I've talked about it before, but just a quick reminder, directional line. Um, Next video, we are going to talk about shading because this video ended up being a little bit longer than I anticipated. So next video, shading, and you're done.